Red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light, green light, red light.
Well, folks, I do love a bit of a good fight. I'm Scottish by genetics, so we have to. But this man here, well, he's a bit of an Emerald Bruiser, as they say. Sebastian Mercer, welcome, my friend.
Thank you for having me on.
No, it's a pleasure to have you here on the Soul Sessions. But Sebastian, what we do with every guest has a story. Every story has a beginning. How did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
As a fan, I actually got into it pretty late, I'd say. I was 15 when I started watching wrestling. And at that point, it was like 2017. So my mate used to send me clips of like the Shield funny moments and a double, triple power bomb. Which got me hooked, to be fair. So I then started looking at other funny videos, which led to The Rock, Kurt Angle, Steve Austin. And then I just ended up watching the weekly stuff, which was... I'm glad that I started watching in 2017, 2018 WWE, where it was absolute garbage. So now I can really appreciate the modern era of WWE, just like this is actually good wrestling.
Fair point. My story is very similar. 2019 is when I first introduced to wrestling. I was in my early 20s, and it's like, Jesus Christ, my knees are hurting now. Time is flowing by. Ouch. But you mentioned that period was obviously 2017, 2018 WWE product.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the best, was it?
No, it really wasn't. I didn't have anything else to go off. So I thought, oh, this is all really good. And then I got introduced to NXT late 2018. And I'm like, oh, this is actually good wrestling. This is what it's supposed to be. And my favorite feud is from NXT, and it's Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. Very simple as to why it is. It's just brilliant.
Say no more, say no more. I'm sure everyone and their wives, mothers, and future generations will know why that feud is so integral to NXT's history. But obviously, you said that you kind of liked it. Obviously, you had nothing else to be introduced to that 2017, 2018 WWE period. Is there something you really like from that period that everyone else despises?
God. There was something in particular that I really liked. I tell you what, it weren't Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar at Mania 34.
Thank God.
However, because I was just a fan, I knew nothing about wrestling. I absolutely loved when Braun Strowman won the tag titles with a child. Well, I loved that because I knew no better. No, it was obviously I knew certain things were like, oh, this isn't great, but like it wasn't terrible. There was still the odd good match. The stories were half baked at best, but like I said, I didn't know any better. I just thought, oh, this is what wrestling's like. It's just like a really crappy soap opera. Whereas now, talents get time to tell stories in the ring. It's not the same thing every week with DQ finish. Oh, these people are going to command these people, so next week we're going to have a tag team match. Oh, and that's going to be screwy. They've got time to breathe.
Yeah, very, very much so. You were innocent then. You've been matured. You've been introduced. You're all good. But I think it would have been very fascinating because obviously you got into it so late to go back and look at past stuff like Ruthless Aggression, Attitude Era, WCW, ECW. Was there anything going back to watch that really caught your interest and be like, wow, how did I never find this before?
Well, when I go back and look at that stuff, I don't tend to fully watch like shows. I'll watch the odd segment, the odd match, and I'm like to me that was brilliant. Especially some of the matches when you've got Kurt Angle in the ring, who's by far one of, if not the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And obviously they were a lot edgier. And I was one of them fans where I'm like, oh, you've got to bring this back. This is what everyone wants. But now that I've actually been in wrestling for a bit, I'm like, the times have changed. They do still want edgy stuff. But if we copy and paste what we did then, it's not going to translate the same now. You can never make wrestling fans happy. There's only one fan base that's more toxic than wrestling fans, and that's Star Wars fans.
Said it. Couldn't agree more, mate. You know, Star Wars has the prequels, the sequel era, and all that, and the original trilogy. Wrestling fans have attitude era, ruthless aggression, and all this for the companies because, you know, God forbid we don't eat each other alive enjoying the thing we all love.
The tribalism's just ridiculous. Like with WWE, AEW, New Japan. Can't really say TNA as much anymore with the partnership, but still, you've still got people complaining about that. It's just like, just fucking watch wrestling and enjoy yourself. Because we are.
Oh,
we're just having fun.
We're having a good old time and a laugh. Everyone else is taking this so seriously, like an exam at high school, like your whole future depends on it. It's like,
exactly. It's just ridiculous.
You'll be fine. Relax. Don't worry. I don't get why do you think it is such a gatekeeping or culturistic vibe within wrestling? Do you think it's just because other companies kind of keep to themselves and it feels like it's that singular universe?
I did before. Like, it was very much here. You were never anywhere else. Whereas nowadays, a lot of companies are blending with each other. AEW started with the New Japan and the CMLL, linking histories. And now WWE are doing it with TNA. They're mentioning New Japan with, say, like AJ Styles as a former IWGP champion. Bringing up the TNA history. It's very much becoming very inclusive. So, like, you're not treating the fans as stupid. They know they've seen them somewhere else before. But it's still that thing of where, like, I'm a big WWE fan, but I'm not a massive AEW fan. So that means I have to absolutely love AEW and I hate everything that happens in AEW. I love WWE, but I hate everything that happens in AEW. Like, oh, they're scumbags. I hate them, everything. Which just ain't true. I just prefer WWE with maybe their storytelling, some of the talents there, whereas I can't follow AEW as easily because maybe some of the stories are a bit clunky. Like, I'm not a fan of this Death Riders thing that's going off in AEW. Like, I don't get why you hold your title in a briefcase. It's been in there like 6 months at least. But I'll still watch odd bits of AEW. I won't watch the weekly TV, but I know if I buy the pay-per-view, I'm going to be seeing some great matches on pay-per-view. Like, I really want to go and watch Hangman versus Will Ospreay because I've seen some clips and he looks fucking amazing. But then you'll see people online and they'll just shit on it because it's not WWE. Or you'll have a great match in WWE and AEW will shit, fans will shit on it for not being AEW. I don't get it at all.
I don't get it either. It's not like you can't attend one show or another. You know, I've attended a WWE show this year. I'm going to be attending an AEW show when they come to London. It's not like I've setting off metal detectors going to one company to another. Like, oh, he's been in the other one. He stinks. Put him in a shower. I mean, I know more wrestling fans have to do showers, but in general,
yeah.
but I mean, you know, not in that context. But I mean, I don't get it. It's like I've always said, wrestling's a pick and mix. You can fill your bag with whatever you want. You know, it is that variety aspect of media. And I know, obviously, mate, you talked about the past, you know, things wanting to be more gritty, grimy. Do you think it is sort of a double-edged sword of giving the audience what they want, but maybe something might not translate into a modern society where things have changed?
Yeah, so I do think in a respect the fans are right, especially when it comes to actual what's happening in the ring at that moment. Because I've done things before where I've been the heel against this babyface, and the babyface, just whatever's happening, he's not clicking with the audience. He's not getting any help from them, and they were cheering me. Now, on that particular show, I went, screw it, swap the roles. I went babyface, he went heel, just mid-match. I mean, it was a bit of a clusterfuck after that, but we did it. Whereas if we were on, say, a bigger show, I've got to ignore him. I've been told, you are this role, you have to make him the babyface. They're cheering me, I've just got to be an absolute bellend. But it's the same thing of where, yeah, the fans want the Attitude Era. We want the swearing, we want the gritty, or we want we want blood. But we're in a different time where there is a lot more kids in the audience. And when you look at it now, it's only a small percentage of fans that are like, oh, we want the Attitude Era back, because it's like, it was brilliant for what it was. But it's all about evolving, moving on, finding something new that'll last longer. And I think that's what's currently going on now. I think AEW's got a nice blend of it, where it's like, it is a bit gritty Attitude Era, but you've still got the sports entertainment side. They focus on a lot more in ring work, which is great. Do I think some of it's like they just don't focus on the selling as much? The story in the ring, they're just more flashy moves sometimes. But again, I'm still relatively new to this, so it's like, my opinion's my opinion. Everyone's got their own opinion.
Everyone's opinions just sometimes are on Twitter and they're shouting it into the vacuum of the social media space, but you got to just roll with that kind of punch.
Yeah.
That's how people are, right? But it is quite fascinating on how wrestling is in this modern era as well, with the whole Netflix deal, like WWE being available everywhere across the world.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts, because obviously Netflix recently had a conference thing, Tadum it was called, and they showcased WWE quite prominently on the stage. You know, Dominic and Liv were getting kissy in the crowd. There was a confrontation between Liv and Rhea with Punk on the stage. Just your thoughts on wrestling being frontline and center in essentially the public space.
So I think it's brilliant because I have Netflix. Everything's cheaper for me now. I'm on Netflix. No, I think it's brilliant because there's no such thing as bad publicity. It's all there for people to see, because you're going to be bored of watching something. You see it pop up. Sorry. Kids will enjoy it. Put it on. You might find you enjoy it. I just think it's brilliant now. And especially now they've added more celebrities to the mix. Not necessarily in the ring, but like just showing that there are those celebrities in the crowd just enjoying it. It's like, to certain audiences, it's like, oh, I know them. They're really popular. I should be doing the same. And then they might find they actually like it. I don't see a bad side to wrestling just being front and center. I think it makes you go, especially if kids are watching it on Netflix and they're like, oh, this is awesome. I want to see this in person. Fucking WWE is expensive as fuck when it comes to town. Next best thing, oh, there's an indie show around the corner. What is it? £10 a ticket? Ah, well, keeps them quiet for a couple hours. And then kids might love it. Adults might actually enjoy it. And you've got daycare for a few hours for dead cheap.
Hey, that's the best thing sometimes for a parent, daycare. Always the best thing to go around the world, that sort of stuff. Obviously, right now, we're recording, mate, it's June, halfway through 2025 already. Where the hell is the time going? I don't know. I've been drunk for pretty much half the year already. That's just what I do. But your thoughts on the Netflix partnership with WWE, how it's been presenting with Raw, the pay-per-views, and SmackDown. How do you think this partnership has gone halfway through the year already?
I think the partnership's gone really well. Compared to what I expected Netflix to be like, with them only doing like one other live show in the past, which was the Mike Tyson Logan Paul show, which wasn't great. A lot of buffering, a lot of audio issues, and a lot of people couldn't get on it when it was live. So I was I'm touchy on how it'd actually be when it comes to WWE. Now, mind you, obviously WWE's got their own production with their own broadcasting and the audio and stuff like that. So they just transmit that to Netflix and they just transmit it everywhere else. But I think it's worked out absolutely brilliant for both sides. Like, when I used to watch the weekly stuff, I could only watch highlights on YouTube because I weren't buying Sky Sports, I weren't buying BT Sports or wherever it was on. Now I can actually watch weekly stuff in its entirety, and it's just easier with it all being on one platform instead of like, oh, SmackDown's on the USA Network, Raw's on wherever Raw's on, and Netflix, NXT's on the CW, which it is in America, I understand. But for the international fans, it's all in one place. So it's like, you got very little excuse. When, if you want to watch it, it's very easy to get access to. Yeah. But again, with previous question, we're all being front and center. I don't see it being a downside being on Netflix. I think it's sent WWE into a bit more of a boom than what it was already doing. Because, I mean, obviously they can say they've got the highest gates in whatever history because they're upping the prices so bloody much. But people are still buying the tickets. It's not like they're struggling for ticket sales because the product's good and people are enjoying it and people are willing to actually fork out to see it, unlike in 2019 where it was terrible. So no one cared. No one wants to watch it.
Very, very true indeed. And touching upon those ticket sales, because, WWE came to Glasgow recently in the year and it was quite expensive, quite very, very expensive, shall we say. And I know they're coming back to it was bad. And I know they're coming back to the UK as well for another tour leading up to Clash in Paris. Just your thoughts on the ticket sale prices. Do you think it's a short-term situation to generate revenue, or do you think that it's something that's really going to be a long-term situation?
I personally think it's a long-term thing because in the short term, I mean, they're already minted in every possible way. With every sponsorship deal they're doing, do I believe it's more TKO over WWE? Yes. They're all business people. They want to squeeze out as much as they can. And they're doing a bang up job of that. I don't see the ticket prices going down anytime soon unless they are struggling to sell tickets. But with Netflix, we're being front and center. Like, a lot of people are putting WWE on the same level as football or American football. It's very much gone from that thing of where, oh yeah, 1 in maybe 15 people know what WWE is to like 1 in 5. Like, it's there for everyone to see. Like, my missus, she hates wrestling. Absolutely hates it. But it's all over her phone. She don't watch it. She don't look at anything of it, but it just pops up on like her Facebook or her Instagram because it's just everywhere. So I don't see ticket prices going away anytime soon, as long as people are going to fork out for them, because they are still selling out every Raw, every SmackDown, near enough every pay-per-view. And even if they're not selling them out, they're still filling them stadiums. They're not arenas anymore, they're stadiums. But you won't see me going to a live WWE show anytime soon. I can't afford that.
Yeah, I'll stick with the Netflix at home and a takeaway. Thank you very much, because that
Exactly.
Oh,
Better view.
Bingo, exactly. Something that's going on with the WWE as well is, a lot of people are getting behind somebody that I think a lot of people hasn't been given the choice or the chance to showcase their greatness that people are really believing in, and that's Karrion Kross.
I fucking love Karrion Kross.
I really like him too. I was confused back in the day with the BDSM gladiator gear, but
yeah,
now he's back in this sort of role. And I think within very much since the start of the year, there's been this massive wave of support for him. And it hasn't been reciprocated. Like, he's not been on TV as much. He's done some main event stuff. But why do you think all of a sudden that there has been this massive push of support for Karrion Kross? And do you see it going somewhere within the WWE product?
Well, I started watching Karrion Kross when he first debuted in NXT throughout the pandemic, and the way he was booked in there, just that killer monster. My particular wrestling is hard hitting, meaty, just back and forth. That's my wrestling, and he was doing that in NXT. Character work, there weren't much there, but he was doing the role that he was given. Whereas now he's come back, I've not paid as much attention to his in-ring work as I have just his backstage segments, just the little bits of promos, the way that he portrays himself of like, he is this menacing heel, but he's more the devil on your shoulder. What he's saying is bad, but it's not wrong. And I think that's what's drawing people in. And I think that's what a lot of heels are doing currently in WWE. They're not just being heel for the sake of being heel, like, oh, I hate you, you're crap. What a lot of the heels are saying currently is very true. So, like with the Kevin Owens thing, when he was heel with Cody, everything he was saying about Cody, there wasn't a single lie in it. True, it gave him excuses to do certain things, but it was like, yeah, we all helped you to beat Roman. And then Roman comes back and you help him after everything he put us through. What the fuck are you doing? it very much made sense. And what Karrion Kross is doing is very similar. Everything he's saying is true. It's to get his narrative over, to get his way, but he's not lying about it. He's not trying to hide it. But his in-ring work's still brilliant. And then I really enjoyed what he did with AJ Styles over the WrestleMania part. And I think a good portion of that is because everyone fucking hates Logan Paul. And Karrion was just basically, fuck him up. We don't care how you do it. And he was just speaking for the fans at that point. And then just his social media work, like the way he pays for his own promos and stuff like that to get them properly done. And I think it's just the amount of effort that he puts in, the care that he has. Don't get me wrong, I think that promo after WrestleMania helped him a lot. Because that really caught my attention. But I don't know, because I know that they were growing towards him before that. I know I was. His character work really captivated me. But I've always been a fan of Karrion Kross. But to answer the second part of the question, I don't think they're going to do it with it.
It's a shame as well because his shirt selling money, like it was above John Cena's and like the WWE shop trackers. He did that great documentary during his Bloodsport run that he released on YouTube. There is support. Do you think that it's just there's too many ongoing stories right now, long-term stuff, long-term plans, big stars, and it's kind of hard for maybe some people to push into that upper echelon?
100%. I think you've got so many amazing talents on WWE currently. And as much as there is more programming than ever for WWE, it's still not enough to get everyone on. Like this past week on Raw, I think it was a qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Penta, Chad, and Dragon Lee. I love Dragon Lee. I think he's one of the most underrated wrestlers on the entire roster. Because I'm not a massive Lucha Libre fan. I think some of it's good, but other bits, it's like, in my way of psychology, it's like you're taking the piss. When someone's in a wrist lock, but they're just bouncing on the ropes for 30 seconds and the guy's just there, just waiting, it proper pisses me off. Whereas Dragon Lee does the Lucha Libre, but has more substance to it, and he's got the nicest powerbomb I've ever seen. But then when was the last time he had a match? I think it was in that Europe tour against El Grande Americano. Now that was before WrestleMania. He's not on TV, and it's the same as Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross's last matches was the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, and then a match with AJ Styles before WrestleMania. And ever since, I think he's been used 2-3 times backstage. It's just trying to get everyone on and tell the stories that you want to tell. But I don't know. If they figured out how to get everyone on TV, there'd still be someone missing. Yeah. Or there'll be someone who's not getting enough time. It's just difficult. I really hope by the end of the year, Karrion Kross has got so much going behind him that they literally cannot ignore, like a Daniel Bryan scenario. But it was like, I think it was this week on Raw, he had a backstage thing with Sami Zayn. Couldn't hear what he was saying because they were cheering him so much.
think it really speaks to that the most valuable currency is time, because it's something that can make or break somebody. It's infinite, but not, and what you do with it can just be really earth shattering. And I like Carrying Cross. I think his theme's also a fucking banger. It's like it's going to be on my Spotify rap because it's beautiful.
It is a good song.
But who knows, man? Who knows? But let's come back to home, the United Kingdom, and yourself, mate. I want to know your story of entering the United Kingdom wrestling scene.
Right. Okay. So I started training in summer 2021. Obviously we just come out of COVID. I didn't really know that the indies were a thing. Again, it's one of them. It's either WWE, AEW just started for a couple years, but you don't really see much of like advertising for the indies. But I was just working. My mates at work saw that I watched wrestling all the time. And they just went, well, why don't you give it a go? I'm like, one, because I'm fucking tiny. One, because I'm fucking wide. And two, and three, say I can't even count to three, so I can't win. And three, I'd die. But they talked me into it so much that I went, sorry, I'll give it a whirl. And I took my first bump in a ring and realised that I cannot give it up now. So I started training at a place called UKW in Leeds. It's been around, I think nearly 16 years at this point. And started training there. Debuted far, far too early. I was green as all, no pun intended. And I was training 3 days a week, wrestling maybe once a week because they do weekly shows. And then after a couple of years training there, wrestling on them shows, I started branching out different training places. So my main training school now is Rampage Brown's training school up in Newcastle. I train in Sheffield with Pursuit Pro Wrestling. And I also train in Grimsby with the Evo Wrestling Academy for BWR.
Wow. Fair repertoire under your belt there. Many places to learn. I do want to obviously touch upon, you mentioned Rampage Brown. I've seen him wrestle in person, and I loved learning about his impact within the UK wrestling scene. What was it like to learn on the Rampage?
There are very few words to actually explain it, because like Rampage has helped my career out more than I can explain. He's made me into the wrestler that I am today, and I'm very thankful for that. You'll know Molly Spartan, won't you?
Yep, had her on the show. Great person.
Molly has used this quote, and I heard it the other day, and I'm going to use it probably for the rest of my career. Rampage Brown is the Obi-Wan of the British professional wrestling. He's just the most knowledgeable person. In my opinion, the best British wrestling's ever produced. Because he can do it all. With the sheer size of the man, he's a powerhouse, but he's athletic, moves like he shouldn't be able to. And yet doesn't do all that much, like really flashy, flippy. He doesn't do anything like that, but he'll still captivate you just with the sheer intensity and aggression, the character that he portrays, which is what I'm trying to figure out myself. I mean, by all means, I'm not the sheer size of Rampage Brown, but the way I wrestle is very similar to him. I don't do much, but I try what I do. I try and make as crisp as possible, as brutal as possible as well. Because if you see the way I come out to a ring, all mean, got the towel, just looking for a scrap, and then you see me do a Spanish fly, there's something that's not going to really fit with that. Like, oh, I didn't expect him to do that. I expected him to like punch him in the face.
Hey, if it works. I mean, Rampage Brown is the man of Rampage, but you're the Emerald Bruiser. I mean, Emerald as well is not really a word I was expecting to say today, or at least in the last couple of months. How did Emerald Bruiser come about?
So one of the first times I ever met Rampage, I just asked him for a little bit of advice. It was at the seminar. And one of the little pieces of advice that he gave me was, at this point, I was the mercenary Sebastian Mercer. I went through a while before I got to Emerald Bruiser. But one of the bits of advice that he gave me was very simple. It was just find a color for your gear and try and keep that. So then when they see you, they link you to green or whatever color you pick. So like when you think about Rampage, he wears orange a lot. It's in his merch, it's on his gear. When he's got his boots on, he's got orange laces. And it was very simple bit of advice, but I've kept it and I've always had green in my gear for everything. And then I just took it that one step further where I wanted a nickname of sorts or something that can tell the audience somewhat what you're going to expect from who's coming out here. And I'm like, well, I'm a bit of a bruiser. That's the way I wrestle. I'm a hard hitter, throw you about, try and knock you out. So bruiser fit. And I'm like, oh, I wear green all the fucking time. Why not link that in? I just went Emerald Bruiser. Asked a few of the lads I wrestled with. They were like, sounds good, that. And like I said, at UKW, they do weekly shows. They go on YouTube for free. So I was like, well, there's no harm just trying it out for a few weeks. See how it sounds, if it flows right. And it was as simple as that. I got the Emerald Bruiser.
Oh, it worked. And it's quite a moniker as well. I like it. It stands out. It's flashy, like an emerald. Haha. It works. It's got that correlation. And of course, as well, you get to explore the UK wrestling scene. One company I want to talk about in particular, I had their owner on this show before. They put on their first show and now they're gone. NCW, Northern Championship Wrestling.
Yes.
I know you were at the show. I know you got to wrestle and be a part of the show. First off, what was it like wrestling on their first show? And, well, technically the only show at this point.
So actually wrestling on it was really fun. I got to work with Keg Stacker and Axel the Clown. It was a very unique triple threat match because it was an elimination tables match. Now, when you've got my character, which is a serious wrestler, you've then got Axel the Clown, which very well speaks for itself. And then you've got Keg Stacker. So it's a match between a wrestler, a clown, and an alcoholic. So there's a dynamic there that shouldn't work. And yet, we told a very fun story of like, oh, these two are a joke. Got Axel's clown gimmick over. I was being a prick. Just like, this isn't proper wrestling. This isn't what I signed up for. Smacked Keg's can out of his hand as he sat on his keg. And then he just lit me up. the crowd were really into it. The presentation was amazing. I got some really good photos from it. I got some good footage from it. Backstage, people were lovely. But the thing that I got from it was the booker, Ryan, lovely guy, but he very much came across as more of a fan than he did a promoter. And in those circumstances, sometimes it works. 90% of the time it doesn't. Because you know you have limits to what you can do on this show. But because you're fanning out a little bit, you don't want to tell the wrestlers that they can't do certain things. Which is just going to screw you over in the long term. So we got told, don't bump on the floor, because it was a theatre, so it was an extended stage, so it wasn't all that sturdy. So we got told, oh, don't bump on the floor. About the third match in, quite early on in the match, bumped on the floor, went through the floor. And it was at that moment we are not coming back to this venue. And then, like, the show was really fun. The crowd seemed to enjoy it. But because he had his heart set on doing a full hardcore show, which is never going to work. Because unless you are a certain fan base with what's the word I'm looking for? Established promotion already. A lot of people who don't know that you exist don't want to see a full hardcore show. I know I don't. I'm not a hardcore wrestler. One or two at maximum, in my opinion. But when every other match has got a different stipulation, especially if it's a new crowd as well, like we're in Leeds City Centre, and they were free tickets, so anyone could have walked in. So if you're not a wrestling fan and you don't know what wrestling is, and every other match is completely different, you don't know what's happening. And then because he could only get this venue because no other venue would let him do a full hardcore show, because they know something's bound to break, he could only get this one venue, which wasn't cheap. And obviously he's got a full production value, which isn't cheap. Ring hire, not cheap. And he's paying a lot of wrestlers a decent wage, which isn't cheap. So he had to bump the tickets up quite high to like £30-40. And for a debut show, for people that you can see on this show for a lot cheaper, not far away, it weren't going to land. So then, because ticket sales were so low, he took the hit with turning the show for free. And the logic behind it was, if he makes this one free, shows what we can do, what we are, then they'll pay for the next ones. Obviously, we damaged the venue. The venue didn't want us back, and he couldn't find another venue. And after that show, other than being paid, I never heard from Ryan ever again. I looked at the social medias, realized it disappeared. It just kind of vanished.
Yeah, it's the best way to describe it. You know, it's stopped following my page after the interview, deleted the footage that he had posted up, and I was like, well, something's up here. And then it was just gone.
I think he had all the best intentions in the world, but unfortunately, running a wrestling promotion is very difficult, very expensive, and he threw himself in the deep end immediately with such a high value show. Like when you look at a Progress or a Rev Pro from back in the day, they had to start from somewhere, which was relatively small. He threw himself in the deep end of like, we're going to make this look as WWE as possible. And that's all well and good. But I'm not being funny, the talents that were on there weren't WWE level. So no one wanted to pay that much to see it.
Yeah. Do you think it also speaks to how some wrestling fans don't understand everything that goes into putting on a show? You know, you see people like, oh, I could put on a great show that would draw millions or a big crowd, but then you don't understand the logistics and a lot of the things that they don't know that has to be bought or licensed or brought in to actually make a show not even first profitable but runnable.
Oh yeah, 100%. I spoke to a lot of wrestlers who have had somewhat not influence isn't the right word, just like where they've helped in the production side of things, like help the booker to figure out what everything they need. And a lot of them say that you don't see any money till your fifth show. What? Because there's so much in it that never gets said, like just insurance as well. Insurance for a venue, booking the venue, that's expensive. You've got the ring crew, the ring hire, and that's when it usually stops. But then if you want to go the extra mile, you get the lighting, you get the entrance way, like you get a stage hire, and it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you realize, oh, we're only selling tickets for £5, and we've got 30 people coming. That just covers the ring. I've still got everything else to pay for. Still got the wrestlers to pay for. And that's why a lot of places now mainly only use the trainees. Because it's like, oh, we can get you on a show here if you want to do it. And then it sounds like they're doing you the favor. Like, oh, we'll get you on this show because you've trained me for so long. What do you say? Oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then you realize, oh, wait, I'm not being paid. And they've just got a free match. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think if you are going to do that, you still got to put the money in and invest in proper wrestlers to come in. If you want your show to be a good show.
Mm.
But also at the same time, I am one of them wrestlers who likes getting paid.
I mean, you know, wrestling is, from people, obviously yourself and many other wrestlers, it is a job. You know, it's a job that you're putting investment into to see a return. You know, thank God you got paid for NCW. That's the main thing. Glad you got paid for that. Obviously, with the company could have shut down and then ran away with the money, and it would have been one of those, you know, horror stories like 1PW or something like that, which we can't have a 1PW.
Oh God, yeah. No, yeah, I do fully respect Ryan for what he did, because when he announced that the show was free, he messaged us all, and he went, I want to make absolute certainty that you are all still being paid. And he did. He paid near enough straight. I think it was like the Monday, because it was all like bank transfer and stuff like that, and obviously it was a weekend show. And I fully respect him for, again, Yeah, he saw absolutely no money. He lost a lot of money that show, but still kept to his word and paid all the wrestlers on the show. So I fully respect him for doing that.
Likewise. And wherever he is, what he's doing, I hope he's healthy and well. That's all I can hope for, and hope it's gone well for him in other aspects of life. But hey,
Of course.
wrestling. So, I remember that quote Roddy Piper said a long time ago. I remember seeing it on the John Oliver show. It was, wrestling has a great entry plan. You get all this great stuff, but the exit plan sometimes isn't the best because it is a double-edged business of you can enter it with all the good intentions, but it might spit you back out. And I really don't think fans understand that.
No, yeah, I totally agree with that. Another quote that I go off would be, this is veering off on a different point, but where wrestling is for everyone, being a wrestler isn't for everyone. And there's a lot of people that I've seen over time where it's like, they either don't quite get it, or it's just not there. And I feel awful when I say it, absolutely awful, because it took me ages to get to where I am, and I only think I'm a half decent wrestler at best. But then I also see these same people wrestling where I wrestled. They no longer train, they don't gym, they don't do anything, and everything's really sloppy. They haven't invested in like gear or anything like that. So it then comes across as like, yeah, you're doing it because we all grew up watching it and we wanted to do it. But at the same time, you're not putting your best foot forward. You're not putting wrestling first, because we're all trying to make this industry the best we can. But when you're not putting the effort in, you make the industry look worse, and you don't want to be the person that makes the industry worse. And again, I feel awful for saying it. I probably shouldn't say it. But at the end of the day, if no one says it, and we see more and more people just, I've been on one show, I don't have to train anymore, I'll just keep going on this same show. They booked me once, they'll book me again. And then someone gets hurt. And then what? You're going to feel bad, which you should, because if you're not training, you're not being safe. And end of the day, wrestling's fucking dangerous. We put our lives in the other person's hands. We want to make sure that them hands are well trained. And if you just stop training because you think, oh, I've been on one or two shows, I don't need it anymore. Fucking WWE wrestlers still train 2, 3, 4 days a week. Never stops. I don't know. It's a mini rant from me there.
I think if anything, mate, it's a hard truth, because wrestling is dangerous. You are, look at somebody like Big E, who's probably trained multiple times, done many things, and then one little instant has his whole life change. It is a very dangerous industry, a very, very dangerous lifestyle, and you should feel safe going in the ring with somebody who who's got not only just the basics, but continues to adapt to their basics, learns other styles, learns safety, and that's really important thing. I understand wrestling is for everyone, but being a wrestler isn't for everyone. I think it is a hard truth quote.
Yeah, it's one I think about a lot, because I do think it'll get to a point where I will fit that quote, and it'll be a difficult day, but I've also got to live by that quote. And when I realize, right, either I can't do this, or like I'm putting more people at risk than I am just feeding my own ego, then I will step aside. I'll find something to do in wrestling, because I can't I don't think I'll ever be able to leave it. But I am one of them people that goes, when that day does come, I will be the first one to go, I'm done.
Well, hey, you've done some things that many haven't. You've won championships as well. So you have got accolades under your banner as well. And I want to talk about the championship wins. What's it like to see that sort of fruits of your labor rewarded in championship gold?
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I know a fair few people that go, oh, they're just props. It's just someone's put the belt on you, stuff like that. But then at the same time, like, you start wrestling because you loved it as a kid, or you just loved it at some point, and if you're very lucky to get the chance of being a champion, the hopeful pop you get when you win the belt, it's a healthy ego boost, because it's like, I've put in the work, I've worked my ass off, I've proven to myself that I've done something, I've done it well, and I've impressed. So I've won titles as a heel, I've now won a title as a babyface, and they're two very different pops, but they are both like, I've fucking earned it. So like the last title I won as a heel, I did like a Money in the Bank cash-in. The guy was chasing the title for months. He finally won it. Massive pop. It was a brilliant 20-minute match. And I come in and twat him with the contract, cash it in, 1, 2, 3, and they hated me. They absolutely hated me. And that was probably one of the best nights of my life. It was a very easy night, because I was supposed to have a 7-man match to defend that contract. And I saw that was announced, and I'm like, God, that's going to be knackering. And then the booker comes to me earlier on in the day, goes, all right, you're actually going to cash in before this match. Like, fucking brilliant. So my night was a 30-second cash in, 10-second match. Sorted. And like I said, they hated. It was a sellout venue, and they hated my guts. Whereas the title that I currently hold now as a babyface, I was against the odds. Proper dickhead Gen Z heel with his 2 backup lads against me. So it was basically 3-on-1 the entire show. And then one other babyface in the promotion that's like, it probably goes like him, then me, then others. He came out to make the save, and off the distraction, I managed to hit move 1, 2, 3, and the crowd erupted. And I'm like, oh, this was different to last time. I'm getting cheered this time, and they fucking loved it. But it's a healthy ego boost. The people need to know the difference between bad ego and healthy ego. Because if you just think ego as bad, then when you do get these moments and you do feel good for yourself, you then feel awful because it's like, oh, I've got ego now. No, you're just happy for yourself because you fucking worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
Been rewarded.
You've been rewarded. You know, you have put in the work and you're given something to be rewarded with. Don't have to feel necessarily bad about it. It's how you act after that reward. Do you feel humble in it, or do you go around swinging the big dick around energy and be like, "Yay, this is it"? No, you be humbled and rewarded in that. And I know as well, you said on your Instagram page that last year was one of your favorite years, a rewarding year with all that you accomplished and achieved. I want to know, as we're halfway into 2025, I have to keep saying that because I don't believe it, but it's right there on the calendar, right there.
It has flown by this year. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be grey-haired and decrepit in 2 weeks, but I still got some time there. To compare last year and this year, how are they comparing?
Oh, God. I feel like this year is catching up to last year rather quickly with some of the stuff I've been able to do. Last year, I got a lot of opportunities that I never thought would have come about. They came up quite quickly on me, quite unexpectedly. Whereas these ones that I've been working to this year have been bit more premeditated, bit more grafting for it. So like last year, for example, I wrestled for Wrestling in Newcastle. And that debut was never supposed to happen. I was just there to do a seminar with BT Gunn. Fucking great guy, great wrestler, very underrated. But they had a few pullouts on that show. There were a few illnesses. And me and my friend Joe Sedgwick were a tag team. And they were like, we need to put a tag team match on. Now, Rampage is one of Wrestling in Newcastle's guys. So him and Rich Swift, another trainer there, amazing guy. They got asked, out of the guys at the seminar, who should we just see if they're available to stay for the show and put them in this tag match? And they both basically went me and Joe Sedgwick. So it was a very much wasn't supposed to happen. We were going to stay behind and watch the show anyway. Suddenly we're shoehorned into the show. It was just a squash tag team match, especially when there's him, who at that time, really scrawny, was against Shreddy and Alexander Hendry. Two very, very big lads. And they just fucked us up. Plain and simple. But it was a debut nonetheless. I'll be back there this year. And then I also managed to wrestle down London last year, which was very unexpected. I had no idea it was happening until I got asked for it. I didn't even know I was in the conversation. Whereas this year, I've focused a lot on training as much as I can. So this week I think I'm training at 4 different places around the country. But that training in Grimsby at the Evo Academy got a pre-show match yesterday at BWR, which is hands down probably the biggest match I've had so far in my career. So fingers crossed this year is going to be either just as big or bigger than last year. But I got a lot to beat for last year.
I'm sure this year will be another shining emerald day for you, my friend, and you will continue to do great things because, come to the end of our time here, mate. I'm a bit of a, one with the one-liners. I have to because I have to keep my mentality sane, but we're coming to the end of our time, mate, and it's a true pleasure to have you on this show. So I want to wrap up with one final question. Wrestling fans always about the dream match, but I want to change it a wee bit. What's a dream match stipulation you would love to have?
Stipulation. Surprisingly, I've done a fair bit in 4 years. I've done a TLC match. I've done a steel cage match. Done tags, done singles, done unsanctioned matches. I've done an I Quit, but I don't like talking about that one because it was terrible. God, what stipulation? At this point, screw it. I'd like to do an Iron Man match.
Oh.
I don't think my cardio could take it. I think it'd probably have to be a 15-minute Iron Man match. But yeah, that's probably the only one that's still on my bucket list.
I mean, you're a bruiser. You never thought of a blood sport type match?
I'm a bruiser, but I know my fucking limits. I'd been murdered in Bloodsport. I'd not fucking hell. Have you seen Karrion Kross? He can break a baseball bat with his bare hands with an armbar.
Oh,
That's crazy.
It's one for the cage match profile.
Yeah, true. But just to probably quickly circle around to dream opponents, I can list off probably 5 rapid.
Go.
3-in-1 with Gallus. And now that's a possibility. Fucking love Gallus. They're a massive inspiration on me. Wild Boar. Because again, another inspiration with the just sheer intensity. I feel like we'd have a cool match. And Rampage Brown. I want that trainer-trainee match. I don't care if it's 30 seconds, quick fucking pile driver, and I'm dead. I want that match.
Maybe we can get a hashtag going.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. If I have any one of them 5 matches, I can retire happy.
Damn. Well, I'll be excited to see that, and I'll be rooting you on, brother. But you know what? Sebastian Mercer, the Emerald Bruiser, thank you for coming on the Soul Session. And of course, folks, if you love what you've heard of the Emerald Bruiser himself, I include a link down to his Instagram down below. You can click it, follow him, see his journey, give your support. He's even got some t-shirts available for purchase. So, I mean, they look very well. So definitely get them added to your collection. Well, folks, as I say, as a good Scotsman, finish up your drink, put your pints away for another episode of the Soul Sessions.
Now I'm out there,